Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to our first leaders meeting of the year. I feel like January was forever. February is here. And it's almost already over. So I don't know why or what happened to this month, but here we are. We're killing it. So welcome to our new leaders. First of all, we've changed leaders meetings up just a little bit this year. On the months that we're not doing them with all the SSDs, we're doing them with just our leaders groups. This is an opportunity for me and Anya. We obviously have legacy leaders together. We provide some type of training. We do recognition. We have a few announcements, but it's really just a time for us to come together as just leaders. You have your team meeting, you have your leaders meetings. If you're a director, you have your director and above meetings. So it's just something that we try to have consistently for y'all. So welcome to the first one of 2022. The schedule is actually in Legacy Leaders pinned to the top. So make sure that you have that squared away. But first things first, our January top 10 PRV, number one was Tara Dickerson. I didn't even write how much she had, but it was either 5 or 6K, something incredible. So congratulations to her. Number 2 was Stephanie Sandgren. Number 3 was Whitney Hebel. Number 4 was Mindy Hilton. Number 5 was Sarah Evans. Number 6 was Heather Dunbar. Number 7 was Sylvia Slutsky. Number 8 was Meredith McCowan. Number 9 was Emily Smith, and number 10 was Stephanie Schroeder. So congratulations to all of y'all. Our top 10 TWV paid at title. So I want to take a little bit of time to explain this to y'all. On other leaders page, you will see the top 10 for TWV, but in Legacy Leaders, we have from the very beginning only included the people who are paid at title. Why? Because it doesn't really matter how high your TWV is if you're not paid at title and you're not getting paid at the title that you're supposed to be at. So, sometimes you're going to see names on here that maybe you haven't seen in a while. And that means that some of our higher titles aren't paid a title. That's what it means. That's the truth. Okay. So, TWV is your team wholesale value. So that's 75% of your team sales. That's any directors that you have in your front line excluded from that. So there's TWV and GWV. And we recognize TWV because that's what is most important, that you continue to grow even when continuing to build directors. Okay. So January top 10 TWV paid at title. Number 1, Whitney Hebel. Number 2, Paige Rooswald. Number 3, Tara Dickerson. Number 4, Alex Wellman. Number 5, Sarah Evans. Number 6, Shannon Zuniga. Number 7, Shara Martinez. Number 8, Megan Moore. Number 9, Narina Chugani. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. And number 10, Shonda Lappin. So congratulations to all of y'all, top 10 TWV paid at title. That's a pretty dang big deal. So make sure that if you're ever on that list, regardless, that you're proud of yourself, you're proud of your team, because that's a big deal. And that is what, honestly, all directors and above strive to be on. And even if you're not a director, you should still be striving to be on that every single month. Our group sales last month was, so all teams together in Simply Grace and Grit, group sales was $233,000, $233,193. So pretty big deal. I have a goal for us this year to hit 3 mil, which I think we're going to blow out of the water. Pretty incredible what we've done past year. So I'm just excited to see what y'all do this year. And Anya?
So we had the most active frontline was Whitney with 30, myself with 17, Paige Rooswald with 10, Emily Smith with 9, and Mindy Hilton with 9. That is extremely important, okay, because that shows that you are working with your team, you're working with your people, you're showing them how to work, you're talking to them, you're training them up. You're not just expecting them to figure it out on their own, which they could. They have all the resources at their fingertips, but as leaders, it's our job for leaders to create leaders and directors to create directors. So that should be our main goal. So that's huge and amazing. And then we just have our announcement. If you can, because that's one of the, at least in my group, it's one of the biggest things. My leaders are like, oh, how do I run a report? Even though we have all these different reports trainings from Justin and Chloe and Guide to Growth. Side note, if you've not watched Guide to Growth and you're here, you definitely should make that a priority, a top priority, Guide to Growth, okay? But just super important for the reports training so we can learn all the ins and outs and how to best serve our team. Reports is how you do that. Pulling a report will show you everything you need to see because numbers don't lie, okay? We have SFR in Utah in June. We are carefully planning, okay, because of the world, but we're carefully planning. So just get excited for that. I know that I'm sure home office wants to have it in person as much as anybody else because we keep having things canceled. So carefully planning for that. That'll be exciting. That's where like leaders are made at events. So talk to your team about that too, okay? And remember that your ticket, all those things going to that, those are tax write-offs. So keep that in your back pocket, but talk to your team about that because how awesome would it be for us to be represented, okay? And then next we have our dive into director review, Wednesday, the 23rd, which is bomb. And it's really cool to see you guys there and just showing up and pouring into yourselves. And we know that you're gonna take that and pour it into your teams. And so it's just a really big blessing for us to see. And I hope you're getting a lot out of it. So yeah, here we go.
Alrighty, guys. So this month we're going to be talking to y'all about, I wasn't even sure exactly what we should title this, and me and Anya, we didn't really come up with a title for it. We're going to have to if we're going to put on YouTube, but we're really talking about what we do as leaders. Not just me and Anya, but some of our best producing directors and above, even just leaders, what practices they have in their business that makes them successful. So leadership practices, AKA what we do, is what I have written down. I don't know if that's business savvy, but that's what we're talking about. Okay. Me and Anya, we did a training. Well, we did lots of trainings on a couple weeks ago with leadership in Raleigh. And we really just stood up and bounced off of each other. So that's what we're going to do tonight. Not really dividing up any topics. We're just going to pretty much hit on everything. Yes, leadership was amazing. It was amazing to be able to train in front of people and have like the feedback and people asking questions and really being able to just have that eye contact with people. I know that may sound silly, but like I just felt like it was a whole nother level being able to be in front of people. So that's how we're going to do it tonight, a little bit different than we have been doing it. But why are we talking about this? So Anya, you want to take it off there?
Why are we talking about this? Because it's important. It's important. It's good for you to know. I think for me, I am not a behind the why type person. If I see a successful person doing something and I know that I want to be successful, that's just what I'm going to do. I'm not going to question it, but not everybody is like that, right? Some people need to know the why behind what we're doing, because where you're at right now, you're like, that doesn't make any sense, or that's silly, or maybe that's a waste of time, or I would never do that. But you have no idea when you've got a group of 200, 300, right, 1,000, what you would do. So, and of course it changes as you go and as you grow. But that's one of the biggest things. So I don't know if this is the case for Whitney, but for me, I get questioned a lot. I'm going to be very honest. I get questioned a lot by a lot of my leaders, and even a lot of my teammates. And they're just like, well, you know, I wouldn't do it your way, or I wouldn't do it this way. And I'm like, it's not just an Anya personality thing. There are rhymes and reasons. And so we kind of felt like it would just be really important to explain that as much as we could now, so that you guys can start gearing up in your minds, because if you're here, you're the 1%. One day you want to be an SSD or director, right? And you want to do the darn thing. So if you can kind of get in the mindset now, it's going to bless you later down the road. Okay. So that's kind of.
Yeah, it's simple as doing what successful people do. Something that you'll hear me, is Anya frozen? something that you'll hear me say a lot is that our path is already paved for us. The path was already paved for me. I can say that for myself. I can't speak for other leaders, but the way that I ran my business was me connecting and having a mentor to be like, you should try this. You should probably not do this. And it's going to take trial for you to do it, but you can't just sit there and say, oh, I'm not like her, I'm not going to do it that way, right? Because it's not about whose way is right, right? It's finding your own way in this business and doing what works for you. But there are a few things that if you do, it's proven to lead to success. And that's what we're going to be talking about. So the first thing, first and foremost, is high sales. High sales, high sales, high sales. You're going to hear us say that forever. That is the base of our business. So I want y'all to put in the chat, what type of sales do you think a leader should have? Okay. So y'all know our comp plan. You know what our minimum is. What type of sales, just a roundabout, do you think, or would you expect your leader to have? How about that? Okay. Well, y'all are just on the right track. Yes, 2K, 2K and above, 2K, 2K minimum, 2K, 500 by the 5th. I like the way you put that. 2K or above, 2K or more, 2K. Exactly. Why? Because we have both, me and Anya, experienced that once we start doing that continuously, that's where we've seen the biggest growth in our business. Yes, our minimum is 500, and you have never heard those words come out of my mouth. I won't recognize 500 past the 5th. You won't see me recognize a leader being active by the end of the month. That's intentional. Okay. We're not recognizing people doing the minimum. We're not recognizing leaders being active on the 28th of the month. That's just not what we do. Why? Because they should already have their 500 by the 15th because they have a team to lead. If they're just getting active at the end of the month, that means they didn't lead their team that month. Why? Because they have to have their PRV first. Okay. And yeah, you know, depending on your personality, you may be like, that seems harsh. And it may seem harsh, but I don't really have a really nice way to say this, but this is a business to us, me and Anya specifically. I know I can speak for her. It hasn't always been a business. You know, that's not why we joined. That's not what we saw for our future, but we have seen what it's already done for our family. So yes, we take this business seriously and we want to work with serious people. So if 500 is your minimum by the end of the month, that's great to have that communication with your leader to let them know, like, I'm okay with 500. I'm okay with like doing the minimum. That's fine, but that's not what we're going to teach you. Okay. That's not what we're going to set you up because that's not what we're going to set you up with because that's not proven to be successful in the long run. And we know that from our grandparents, right? Our lineage. That's what they have taught us. So, Anya?
Yeah, I mean, I think it sets you up for success in so many different ways because, like Tara said, it does open up your customer base. You are getting in contact with more people, right? So that also opens up your chances to sponsor more people. If you're not continuously growing your network and finding a way to grow your network, it's not a good business for you're in social selling. Like, I don't know, like when you said, how do you put that nicely? I don't know, but this is what you sign up for, right? You're in social selling, you got to socially sell. That's what you have to do. And you have to do that by continuously expanding your network. So 2K PRV is a bomb. Like for our group, you know, we are not trying to be minimum people. We're not trying to be the least of these. We're doing the most. And it's proven and it's awesome and it's amazing to watch. And it freaking sets my soul on fire. So with that, yeah, get your 2K minimum. And when you start hitting that like crazy, bump it up. Why not? Why not? More people, right? If you can handle it, bump it up. So I think that's something super important. I love that you guys already have that in your mindset. Team. Yes.
Can you say that again? You froze up. Sorry.
Sorry, I've got like kids downstairs playing Fortnite. Like it's a whole, I'm like texting my husband, get them off of the internet. Sorry. I don't know where I froze up, but just taking that and teaching your team to do the same thing. That's your minimum. Cool. Teach your team to do the exact same thing. And it's just going to continue to explode.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, like as leaders, that's your job to have that trickle down effect with our lineage, right? So what we're teaching you, once you are working towards that or even find success in that, that's what you should then teach to your people, because has trickled down thus far, right? And like Anya said, not just doing 2K for the minimum, like that's amazing to have that $600 check just from your PRV. But again, there's no cap on what you can sell in a month. And I remember that, we have a lot of high PRVers in here that are this is probably going in one ear and out the other. But just know that sales doesn't come easy for everyone. We are in a social selling, like she said, company, direct sales. Whether you want to admit it or not, you're in sales. You're a salesperson. Okay. Now, how you do that, that's a whole nother conversation, but you are a salesperson. You are selling a product. Okay. But you also have to keep in mind that you have control over that. I remember the first time that my mentor told me 2K, that's your minimum goal. And I was like, I literally laughed at her. And a lot of y'all have heard this because I wasn't a 2K person. But now working continuously to that for the last 2+ years, now that's my minimum. I like to have that by the 15th, right? And I've had 7K months, almost 8K months, which is insane to me, right? But I have proven that I can do the hard things when I put the work in, when I have those hard conversations, when I stop worrying about who's telling me no. And again, teaching my team the same, right? Being transparent with them that I've asked probably close to 30 people to party this month already. I've had 2 parties, like I get told no probably more than anyone else on this team because I talk to so many different people, but like that's the business we're in. If you're not being told no, you're not working. Okay. So the other part, or the other leadership practice, AKA what we do, we sponsor consistently. At least that's our goal. Because let's be real, sponsoring is harder to control than sales. Okay. And it is. That's just how it is. Sometimes you're going to be like, I'm on a roll. Everybody wants to be part of this. We are the bomb. And then the next month you're like, what did I do wrong? Did I say something? Did I put, like there's just so much that goes into this, but our goal is to consistently be sponsoring. We're never going to get to a point where we're done sponsoring. Because when you stop growing your business, your team's going to stop growing theirs. And again, that's going to be a trickle down effect.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's so big and it's so important, not only for incentives, but just growth, period. Okay. And then some of you have your own team pages and you're like, oh my gosh, like it's so dead in here. No one's responding or no one's participating or no one's sharing. Well, that's why we're trying, another reason, constantly getting new blood in. Okay. Because they are excited. They are on fire, and that can be contagious. Okay. So setting yourself up for success with you focusing on sponsoring. All right. I know, like Whitney said, like, yes, you're going to hear no all the time. I had an email from someone today and they're basically like, I just feel like I'm wasting my breath. You need to shift your focus and shift your perspective. You're planting seeds. The harvest isn't always going to happen right then and there. You go plant a garden today, you think you're going to get some cucumbers tomorrow? No, that's not how that works. Okay. So just remembering that, and then again, replicating that for your team and making sure that if again, I'm so done with these kids. I'm done. I yelled, I called.
You're good. You're good now. Go ahead and go to the next one. You're good.
Lord. Okay. The next one, we do trainings. We do that for a few reasons. Okay. It's easier to reach the masses. I literally cannot go and I have 50 frontline right now. I cannot go and talk to every single one of them, you guys, and try to keep up with everything else and keep up with downline and keep up with leaders and homeschool. Like, it's not going to happen. It's just not. Okay. So making sure that you are training your team, and then not just for you to reach the masses, right? But that blesses your director. That helps them out too. It's not the director's show. That's not how that works. Okay. So that's extremely important. And then even so, like, a YouTube channel. I know it's scary. It's weird because that was me. This is weird. Why am I even doing this? But what a blessing it is to share a link to someone when they have a question rather than trying to answer them. Because guess what? If they really want big things, they're going to go watch that training. Simple as that. And once they've done that, I'm like, boom, working with that person. Okay. We're working smarter, not harder. All right. And efficiently. That's the thing. If you're not training your team, you're not leading them. It's as simple as that. You're not showing them how to work. If you're not, I'm not saying handhold and answer every single freaking question right when they send it. That's not what I'm talking about. Training your team and on your director's page. So you might have a training that you want to do and say you're a superstar consultant with 10 people in your group. Did you put it on your director's page? Because that should be number one. Training on your director's page. Okay. Super, super important. Yes.
Yeah, so like she said, some of y'all may be in a position right now where you can have those one-on-one conversations. You can talk to your 1 or your 2 or your 5 teamies every single day and check with them and answer all their questions and do all that. But if you're wanting to build a big business, you're not going to be able to do that in the long run. You're not going to be able to do that with 50 people or 100 people or 200 or 1,000. And we want to teach you those practices, those leadership practices that we're talking about tonight to start doing now. So when you are that big and you grow from a team of 1 to 15 in a month's time, which I've seen happen, you're not like, oh, how do I reach these people? How do I start showing up as their director or as their leader? Or how do I let them know who I am? Right. That's why we're telling you now to start showing up on your director's page and start training there and start sharing what you're doing on there. So, because a lot of people like to, when they're a leader, they start with, oh, well, my team. Okay, but your team is your director's team until you become a director. And I know that may hit the wrong way, but it's true. Your team is your director's team until you hit director. So whatever you have to give to your downline, because that's what it's really called, you need to be sharing that with your whole team. Okay. And doing those trainings. So I don't think she's on here tonight, but we had a leader talk about wanting to do, she came to me and wanted to do, what was it that she wanted? Oh, she wanted to make a group chat to do a new consultant Q&A because she felt like she has a lot of new people on her team and she wanted to do something that was a little bit more personable with them to go over questions that they had, right? Because it's hard as a new leader to find that middle ground between hand holding and setting them up for success. And I told her, I said, we'll get to that in a little bit, but if you do a group chat now, whatever knowledge that you share with these people, no one's ever going to see again. Only those people are going to see it. And yeah, it may help them, it may bless them. But if you're not sharing that with everybody else on your team, all the other new people who came in, people who signed up that day that may want to be a part of that, they don't get to see that because they're not in that group chat, right? So does that make sense to y'all that when you're sharing something, that's why we want it to be a mass sharing. We want it to be something that you record or something that you save for yourself to then be able to share with other people. When I started my YouTube, I put everything on private, and the only way that people saw it was if I shared that link with them. If that's what makes you feel comfortable, then do it that way. But when you start helping other people that you're not benefiting from, that's when your business is really going to boom, because people, that's just karma. I'm just going to say, it's just karma. It's just life. When you start doing things for other people, just out of the goodness of your heart, not just for your own growth or your own wealth, that's when things are going to change. So any training you do, I strongly suggest that you share it. I have had to stop watching my trainings because I'm like, like I said this, I say whatever, I look a hot mess. Like I literally have not a stitch of makeup on. I would have never done this 2 years ago, but now I'm like, look, this is, at least I'm here. Right. And so that's what's important, is that you're training and that you're showing up for your people, even when you don't want to, even when all the odds are against you, you're still showing up and training and you're being there for that one. Okay. And a lot of people, they like to make training about them. So I've noticed that a lot. And they're like, oh, I'm not comfortable, or, oh, I don't like going live. But the 3 things to leadership are knowing the way, going the way, and showing the way. that means training to me, right? Because you know it by your experience it. You're going the way by actually doing it, and then you're showing the way by sharing how you're doing it so they can also do that too and have the success that you're having. Leaders build leaders, and that's what we're always going to tell you too, is it's not about you being the leader of all these people. It's about you being a leader and building other leaders. Okay. And I know that can be hard again for those newer leaders that are just coming into this and they're like, I'm just trying to stay above water and make sure that I'm trying to be a good leader to my one new teamie that just joined last month. And I get that, but we have to look long wins in leadership. We've had people that just promoted to lead last month that are going to promote to star this month, and maybe it'll be even a superstar next month. So that's where we have to take a step back and really look at our leadership practices and what we're doing in our business. And I do want to say real quick too, that all of this that we share, we didn't have, I didn't have the director or even the leader or the sponsor that reached out to me and had these type of meetings or offered this type of advice. So none of this stuff is what I did as a lead, a star, a superstar consultant, or probably even a director. That's probably when I started implementing those things, because I didn't have anyone telling me what to do. And I don't say that for, a pat on the back or anything like that. But, Chloe is my mentor, but I was 4 gens down from her at that time when she reached out to me. So she wasn't even necessarily getting paid off of my generation from her. So that's something to keep in mind too, that this isn't about a paycheck. We're not doing this or pushing you to be better for us. We want this for you. And that's the biggest thing with leadership, is showing other people that they can have this success too. But it's going to take work. It's going to take uncomfortableness. It's going to take you doing things that you don't want to do to get there. So I just wanted to throw that in there as well.
I'll say one more thing, Whitney. Y'all, sometimes growth can happen really fast. Okay. I've had a director that literally went from she was a star, and then for months and months and months, and all of a sudden she was superstar director and didn't have her stuff in place. I went back to back, star, superstar director, and didn't have my stuff in place. I wasn't training. So I have a lot of stupid trainings out there that I'm like, why was I training on that? I sound like an idiot. Okay. But how do you get better? Is you keep going, you keep trying, and you're like, that is not an income producing activity. Why did I train on that? That was such a waste of breath. But you don't learn that unless you try. You fail, you try, you fail, you try. And then you're like, this is what matters. This is what my team needs to focus on. And that's how that works.
You broke up again.
I just said, be willing to look stupid. It'll be okay. I really think, listen, I'm going to be honest. So my husband was bragging about the amount of internet, whatever we had literally right before I came up here. And so I think God is like, you really don't know as much as you think. That's what I think that is.
Perfect. All right, let's talk about group messages. I'll let you take that one.
Just don't. Just say no. Isn't that a thing? Just say no to drugs. Just say no to group messages, please. It's not professional. There's so much drama that can come from that. Okay. Nobody's trying to get blown up 50 million times a night. They're just not. For your newer consultants, there's nothing in place for them to look back at. How terrifying. Okay. Think of yourself as a new consultant and then think of a leader that's super pumped. That's terrifying. There are just so many reasons. Just don't do it.
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to that training that one of the new leaders wanted to do was you can't share files in there. You can't build a foundation in a group chat for for a business. So again, doing for one that you can do for 100, could you imagine being added to a group chat of 50 people? That's a joke. Come on now. I'd be like, leave group immediately. Do not talk to me. I'm done. We're not doing this. So if you have a group chat, I will say we have we had a director chat at one point, and that's when we that was the biggest probably thing where it was like, nope, we can't do this because it's not professional. People, you're talking about things that are not have nothing to do with the business. And you have to think about your community that you're building on your team page. Same exact thing in a group chat, right? And when people start talking about things that aren't necessarily, how do I say this, that you wouldn't allow on your team page, right? In a group chat, it's kind of the same thing. But when you're in a group chat, you're stuck, right? So nix the group chats. If you want to start a team page, you have to have a team to be able to do that. And, we've talked about that. We've talked about when to build one. There's really no perfect time. We always suggest around STAR. I say once you're paid at STAR for 3 months consistently, then you can start talking about it. But a lot of people, we have to focus on the nitty gritty of our business, the important things. Having a team group is important, but not when you're not getting paid at title. When you can't hit 500 PRV, you don't need a team page. You need to go sell some Scentsy. Okay. So just keep that in mind for your team pages too. That is important to start building your community. And I know a lot of people like to do that in group chats, but really, don't worry about the team name. Don't worry about those kind of, fluffy things. That's exactly what it is before you're even focused on your business. When you have your 2K and your 2 sponsors and you're paid at title, you go make that pretty group page. But until then, focus on your business. Okay. And know that the group pages that you're added on, or maybe that you see other people have, I'll tell you right now, Simply Grace and Grit is bomb. Like, it is literally what I've always wanted it to be. There's always someone sharing. My directors come back on there and share when they don't have to. I'm so very grateful for that. We have new people coming in. They're always welcome. It's hard to keep up with, but it's something that I built literally from the ground up because I wanted people to have that sense of community. And it's so important. But that didn't come until we had the people to support it. And it wasn't always like that. Okay. Katrina can tell you that. Anya can tell you that. It wasn't always, it was like, where are y'all? The same thing that you're going through as a star or superstar consultant, or even a new director. We went through that too. I went through that many times, but that's where setting expectation comes in and showing up consistently and having that self-reflection on yourself to be like, what have I done to help? Right. All right, so team meetings. Anya said at the beginning that she's been questioned about that, about what she does. And that's the other thing is, I'm not even going that, but why do we do team meetings? What is the benefit of that, right? So part of that is, for me, is community. Why? Because if we were all living in the same neighborhood, we'd probably get together for dinner once a month and hang out and talk about our business and bounce ideas off each other, just like things that happen in events. And guess what? Back in the day in Cincy in 2000, whatever, when it started, that's what they did. Because there was no networking to our business. It was the mom and pop home events, your neighbor and you sold it. And that's what they did. But now that we have grown into what we are, these team meetings are a time for you as a leader to show up for your team. Even, I started with one person showed up to my team meeting. I've had no people show up to my team meeting. All the directors probably have had that. Yeah, I see Katrina raising her hand. Like, we've all been where we're like, okay, we're here and nobody's showing up for us, but we kept doing it. Okay. And now sometimes we have a lot of people, sometimes we don't. We have a lot of directors that go out, take their team with them. So it's always evolving in this business. And if it's always evolving, you're doing the right things. But having that team meeting and having that time with them to say, I am here for you, like not just on my team page, but once a month, I'm going to be here for you. And I'm going to give you a training from either myself or someone. And we're going to talk about something that's important in this month. And team meetings is also a way to consistently train as well. And it doesn't always have to be you. Like, you can have your accountability partner come and talk. And the way that your meetings are ran, again, you're not going to be coming out and having an agenda day one. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But when I started, it wasn't. It was more like a hangout kind of thing, just come and talk. And now we do have an agenda. We have training, we have announcements, just like our leaders meeting. You have anything else about team meetings? Anya, I know you.
I'll just even take this out there for me. I've already y'all, I'm So over it. I'm gonna beat these people in my family. It's fine. But
Change
I
the
just say I'm
password.
take it a step further. Like I already know who's here and who's not. They're all written down. So when I've got leaders asking me, I'm just gonna be very transparent, ridiculous questions in my inbox, I'm not answering them. And that's not to be mean. That's because I've got things to do. I have a business to run and I've got people who showed up here that I need to pour into, that when they come to me with a question, they're going to be answered first. So it's just kind of important to see who is here, who's taking the stuff, who's implementing it. And I mean, really, the people who are here, their numbers are extremely better than those who aren't. So there you go.
Yeah, it's definitely a time to see who's serious about their business. Like just like these leaders meetings, that's not saying that it's a measurement of that, like that's why we do it, but it is a good way to see who is serious about their business, who wants to show up when it's not easy. And when you see leaders who don't show up to your team meeting, but then they're the ones with the excuses as to why they're not showing up to a team meeting, it's like, well, then you don't need me. You're like, that's not respectful of my time. So why should I be jumping to you as soon as you ask me a question, right? So we have to be, that kind of goes into respecting your own time and self-care as a leader. We're not really going into that tonight, but it is important to see those things. We have on here, work smarter, not harder. I feel like that's such a broad subject, but just knowing, like we talked about this at the leaders event too, is really just, what was the thing you said? Add one, Anya, or duplicate?
I feel like those are two different things. What are we talking about?
No, the thing where you were talking about, like, use a video for both, being able to
Double tap.
double tap. No,
Multiple things for one thing. So like Whitney did hand soap. She showed the difference between hand soaps in her VIP group, which I'm actually doing tomorrow. She can use that in her stories. She can use it in parties. She can use it for multiple things instead of just making 15 videos, right? To use in 15 different places. So definitely double tap as much as you can with all the things.
and that rolls into your trainings with YouTube too, right? So when you're having a new consultant join and your last team meeting was about, what a new consultant should do, that you can send that to them and you don't have to sit there and go through every single point that you went through in the meeting. You can send that to them and say, hey, watch this. Let me know if you have any questions. We literally just talked about that. Let's talk about being paid at title. So I talked about this a little bit today. It's something that the SSDs talked about in our chat. Excuse me. About being paid at title and how, January and February, they've been slow months or I shouldn't say slow months. They have been slower months than the previous months. As far as what our numbers are, that's just the truth. Numbers don't lie. They're not going to lie. They're always going to be there. Proof is in the pudding with running reports. And when I put up those numbers earlier today of what percentage of our leaders are paid at title, it's eye-opening. And I want to share those kind of things with you guys. It's not to make you feel some type of way or to feel down about yourself or to feel like you're not worthy of whatever. It's to show you what we're doing as a group, right? Who's doing what. I think that's important to know, that some people are paid at title and some people aren't. Some people don't care that they're not paid at title. Some people don't even care to be active. They're probably not on this call, probably will never hear this. That's fine. But as our leaders page, we have expectations, and paid at title by the 15th. You could call it a goal. I call it a non-negotiable. Like if I'm not paid at title by the 15th as your SSD, I'm not okay. Literally, I'm not okay. It's never happened, and I hope it never will happen to not be paid at title by the 15th. But as a leader, I want to be able to focus on my team, my group, my leaders, my new consultants on the second half of the month. And if I'm not paid at title by the 15th, I cannot do that. Okay. And that's not something I ever want. I don't want to be in that situation. Okay. And I know that comes in time, and that comes with building that foundation. Being paid at title does not define you, but it is a reflection of the progress of your team. Okay. If you don't write anything else down tonight, please write that down. Being paid at title does not define you as a person or as a leader, but it is a reflection of the progress of your team. So if you're not paid at title consistently, that means that you need to work on the foundation of your team. It's not a feelings thing. It's not a mean girl thing. It's not anything but business facts, right? You have to build your front line wider. You have to build your team wider. You have to be a leader and show up for your team and show them how you're working. If you have 4K every single month and you never share with your team how you have your high PRV, you're a selfish leader.
Yep.
That's all there is to that one. Being paid at title is not just about you. If you're paid at title and none of your leaders are paid at title, that's a problem, right? It's not just about you being paid at title. If I'm paid at title and none of my directors are paid at title, that's a reflection of the progress of my directors. Okay, that means there's some kind of disconnect there. There's something going on. And like I said, I'm not going to be the one to tell you that there's no such thing as a slow month, because I do believe that there is. That's just business. But I do think there is a way to have no excuses, and people are still killing it in our group. We have probably 20 people over 2K already. So when leaders talk about how they can't even get their 500, go ask somebody, go talk to someone. You know, our business is about talking to our customers, but it's about talking to each other. That's why we have these groups. I didn't see what was in the chat because I don't know how to work this computer, but Anya, do you want to say anything else about being paid a title?
No, Kendra just asked, she said, what if you have people who don't respond back or who don't care? Well, then you keep on going by. Like, I'm going to focus on those that do, and I'm going to sponsor more. I've been super heavy on the sponsoring conversations. I mean, like, y'all, heavy on the sponsoring this month, because it's very clear to me that I have a lot of leaders that just don't care. I had one tell me today, well, my goal was to be active this month. Active? Okay, like, next. Seriously? Like, doesn't even care, doesn't want to be paid a title. That's mind-blowing to me, because I'm like, heart palpitations. Okay, I have extreme anxiety. I put a lot of pressure on myself, and you don't care. So we have to think about that too. Who are you going to invest your time with, right? Those that want to be paid at title, they also have to start looking at, are they building leaders? Okay, are their leaders paid at title? Because that's going to be big. I can look at a director's numbers and sit here and be like, okay, none of your leaders are paid at title. And then you're wondering why you're not paid at title. Your leaders also need to be paid at title, right? Pour into them. If they don't care, we're creating more. That's the thing. Big, wide. And this is exactly why you can't just leave that all up to 3 people. Like, that's not going to work. Okay. So that's what I have.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is, you know, as a leader, it's going to be hard that's why I think communication is so important. I think everyone has a place on our teams. That's what I always tell people, but I need that communication from you to tell me what that is for you. If you're not Stephanie went live today. If you haven't watched that today, Stephanie Schroeder went live in Legacy Leaders today, and it was literally spot on. I was like, that's what I've been trying to say for the last 6 months of my career. But she really hit it on the head where, you know, I reached out to her and I was like, she was hitting 2K continuously. I don't even think she's ever hit less than that. And I was like, are you interested in leadership? I flat out asked her, do you want to do that? And she told me no. She was like, I'm not. It's just not something that I feel like I can fit in. And, you know, we talked about it a little bit, and then she sponsored someone, and I was like, okay, I guess she does want to, you know, be a leader. Cause I told her, like, hey, as a leader, we have to, you know, this is people who want bigger things in our business. Cause I'll be the first one to tell you, if you're a leader and you don't care about being paid title, you need to look into a non-leadership role. Okay. It's not personal. It's not ugly. I've had a director take a non-leadership role, my frontline director before I became an SSD, because I'm not even touching that, but
same, been there.
Yeah. And it happens, but I want to set that up for y'all to know that that's an option now. If being a leader is not something that you want, and it's not something that you see yourself doing, or that you can't support people when they need support, because that's really what leadership is. And again, watch Stephanie's video. She literally mapped out exactly what we do as in leadership. Then take a non-leadership role. All you have to do is write Cincy and tell them you want to take that role, and you're done. No hard feelings, no nothing. But we have to work with who is wanting to work. So if you come in as a new consultant, like we all did, and said, "Oh, I just want to get paid on my purchases, just want to hang out," like we all did, right? But then it's going to hit you, and you're going to be like, but I saw that girl's paycheck, and if I could do that, that could literally change my life. Or, whatever it may be, that was that light switch for you, communicating that with your leader. And that's why it's important to stay in contact with your frontline. So, to me, if someone has consistent high PRV, like they have the sales down, they're ready for the next part. Why? Because I know that they can get their 500 by the 15th, right? And that, as a leader, is something that you have to look for to be able to spot those leaders before they even know it themselves. Okay. And that's what, what a good leader does, is they say, like, "No, girl, like, you doing the thing, you're ready to go to the next step. Is that something you're interested in?" And whatever they say, respect it. You never know what's going to change. But you have to also be specific and super intentional with your time. You work with who's working, you work with who wants it. And again, those numbers aren't going to lie. So using your time wisely is super important too, because as a leader, when you have 800 people in your group, you're going to be pulled a lot of different ways. You're going to be getting all kinds of messages, emails, ugliness, love. Like, it's a little bit of literally everything, and you have to protect yourself with that. Anya?
Yes. Yes, that's what that is. Yeah, I think just being mindful, okay? Being mindful of who you're working with. You guys, Whitney says it all the time. I try to put it in a lot of my emails. Be a fountain, not a drain, okay? You're going to have a lot of drains. You are, but you're also going to have some pretty bomb fountains, okay? And those are the people you've got to focus on. If you're focused on the drains, it is going to tear you apart mentally. I know I'm a huge, no, I'm not anymore. In the name of Jesus, I was a huge hand holder, okay? Not anymore. Literally, I can't. My mental health cannot take it. I care more than other people would care. I can't. You can't. You cannot afford that, okay? As a leader, as your own business person running your own business, as maybe a mom, someone who works a 9 to 5, you cannot afford to do that. You've got to be wise. So just really being intentional. And even, like I said, like looking at this meeting, I can see who's on. Look at your team meetings. Check out who's on your team, okay? Who is pouring back into your director's page? Shout them out, pump them up, tell them you're so excited that they care and that they showed up and poured into themselves and invested into themselves, okay? You can do that. And then you can clear, who to work with and who not to work with. I think it's just the mental barrier of being like, I cannot afford to give more into this person's business than they're willing to. Like, Sylvia's the person that I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm screwed. Okay. No, just Lord, getting past the mental blocks. That's the big thing. You can't care more than they do. So match their effort. That's my big thing this year. I'm going to match people's efforts.
Yep. So next to last thing, leaders building leaders. That's what you do as a leader. That's your goal. Like I said at the beginning, that's your goal as a leader, to build leaders. If you're a director, your goal is to build directors and leaders. And so how do you do that? I want y'all to put in the chat how you think you build a leader. If you don't know, say you don't know. But how would a leader build a leader? How would a director build a director? By example. Showing up, yep. Lead by example, leading from the front, train them, lead by doing, training. By example, show how you work. Building relationship, train, show up, lead by example, by example, by example, by example, by example. So I want you to ask yourself, are you leading by example? Ask yourself that. Are you leading by example? Are you doing as a leader what you want your leader to do? It's not to tear you down. It's not to make you feel a certain way, but we have to have self-reflection. Yeah, we have to have self-reflection in our business as a person. Good Lord, I hope you have self-reflection because no one's perfect. We all have things that we can work on personally and in our business. Okay. Yeah. So what are we going to do to change that? Would you want a team of you? I don't know who said that, but yes. Would you want a team of you? I would. I want a team of Whitney's.
Yes.
I want Sylvia wants a team of Sylvia. Stephanie wants a team of Stephanie's. Yeah. I want a team of me because I show up when I don't want to. I do the hard things. Yes, yes, yes. Working on being better. Hell yeah, I want a team of me. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. Let's pull a Chastity Robinson there. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. Okay. Asking leaders to step up and train. That's how you build leaders. Asking them to do things that are going to make them uncomfortable and grow. Okay. I did it today and she blew us out of the water. Okay. Asking leaders, believing in leaders. Like I said, when you see something in someone, you're going to know. You're going to know when you get a Sylvia. You're going to know when you get a Stephanie. You know when you're going to get an Anya. You know we're going to get a Katrina. You just know as a person that something's there and you're going to push them and work closely with them and have them train and have them share. Okay, Whitney, how do I do that? You go to your reports tab and you pull up your top producers and you say, oh my gosh, Katrina, your PRV is insane this month. Please go live and share how you did that. If they say, I don't know, this is a prime example. I love when people say, well, I don't know how I did it.
Red flag. Red flag.
It's not a red flag to an extent, unless it's like 4K and they don't know how to do it. That is a red flag. But sometimes people will be like, I partied. And I'm like, okay, you partied, but like go through your parties. What were your most interactive posts? What was the most thing that you sold? Did you talk about that in the party? What about your follow-ups? Did you follow up with everyone? Like that is how you build leaders, by pulling those little things that they can train on out of them. And they'll be like, oh, okay, I need to go back and this is what I do all the time. If you don't do this, please do this. Go through your order tab at the end of the month and see, okay, this person ordered from this party. This person ordered from a follow-up. This person ordered from a story. This person ordered from a social media share. Go through that and have realization of how you're getting your sales. Okay. Because it may shock you, but that's how you train. Okay, guys, I just went through my orders tab and I'm going to share with you how I got the majority of my sales last month. It was from my stories. I was consistently sharing this, and this. Okay. So that's building a leader. That's showing someone to know the way, show the way, go the way, know the way, show the way, go the way, somewhere in that order, right? Because you're building a leader. And then you're going to teach that leader that's eventually going to become a director to do those things with their leaders. Okay. Anya, I know you got the last part.
Yeah, I think another thing to that too is to raise up leaders, be willing to have hard conversations.
Yes.
Be honest, you guys. Like you don't have to be a D-bag, but like you can be honest, okay? And you can be like, listen, girl, you're training over here on PRV. You got 22 PRV. What are we doing? Go book a party, right? You're over here in my inbox complaining. You got 50 PRV. You could have had 100 PRV by now. Stop complaining and go to work. Okay, I'm trying to work, you trying to work, we trying to work, all right? You can be honest with people. It's okay. It's good for them, I promise. Maybe their parents weren't, I don't know, but it's good for them, okay? It's another one. Oh, okay. Another one we have is when we ask the last week of the month for people to step up. And for Whitney, or for me, it's Tag Your It Tuesday, okay? I do that a lot during the week, because I'm gone all day on Tuesdays teaching at our homeschool community day. So I do that. All right. And then the last week of the month, I know Whitney does that. Step up and train. All right. So maybe it's asking for your teamies. Task them out, you guys. Give them a task. Girl, you got bomb PRV. I want you to train on your parties or whatever you're doing, right? You sponsored 4 people. I want you to put your name on that list. Challenge them. A challenge isn't just sell 5 whiff boxes. Y'all challenge them for what's going to matter, because them selling 5 with boxes is not a way to run a proper business. Okay. You teaching them how to
Say it
train.
again. Say it again. Say it again.
It's everyone, but just don't business with that. Just Lord, just stop it. Just stop it. Oh my gosh. I can't. But be willing to see who is going to get uncomfortable. That's big. Challenge them, get them uncomfortable. And if they say no or they ignore you, that's probably not someone you want to invest a whole lot of time into. Honestly.
Yep. And so with that, fear is a real thing in this business. It held me back for half my Scentsy career, or whatever you want to call it, my business, because I was so worried about what someone would think or say. And people, new leaders coming in, when I tell them that, they're like, okay. But for real, like, I was a star consultant for over a year. So let that sit in. Star consultant for over a year. And I would be considered a quick progressor by hitting SSD in 4 years, but I sat at Star for a whole entire year. But it was when I decided that I didn't care about what other people thought. Like, literally, it was an aha moment where, my husband, if you've ever met Eric, he's very like black and white. There's no in between. And he's always pushing me to do things, but he never understood why I cared about what a girl in high school thought about me, and now, like, I get it, obviously. But we have to have that why. We have to have that focus in our business. We have to have, fear is a real thing, but empowering other people. My shirt this is from Nikki, and it goes with Katrina's team: empowered women empower other women. And it's so freaking true. It is so true, because when you have someone in your corner in life, in your business, in anything, it helps you be better. In a spouse, good Lord, that's huge, right? When someone's in your corner, it makes life easier. It makes things easier. Same thing for us. That's what me, Anya, your directors, your SDs, that's what we're here for. We're in your corner. We want you to be successful. But we also have to have that balance with ourselves, with our time, right? With how we work our business, with how we spend our time between our business and our family. So I just think it's important to know that, or to remember that, like, fear is a real thing with people. And when you're trying to help people or push people onto that next level, that you remind them that you're a person too. And that's why I think, again, that events are so important, because is Alex still in here? Like, I felt like when I met her, she was like, oh, she is a real person. Like, I don't know. I just had that like interaction where she was like, you're not a computer generated person. Like, you have a heart, like you're throbbing, like you're here. And it's so important to have that one-on-one connection with people to let them know that you're a human too, right? I mean, all of us are. None of us are, well, Anya's a little bit of a robot tonight, but none of us are robots, like, we have hearts, we have families, we have goals, we have dreams, we have hard days, we have anxiety, we have, health conditions, we're all going through something, right? But we're all also in this together. And that's what we want to help y'all do, is to take it to the next level if you're willing to work for it. So you want to do our, do you have anything else on here? You want to do our little 15-second bounce off?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think.
Okay, well, explain it for the new people, and then you start that
off. So we do a little bounce. What is it, like popcorn? Is that what you call it in school? You do like popcorn, where you say something you took away from this, or something you really enjoyed, and then you call out somebody else. So get ready. Okay, get ready.
Look at the people hopping off. Look, we see you. We see y'all leaving. I see you. Yeah.
Start text messaging. So I want to hear from Miss Shelley first.
Shelley Ottoman.
Hi, sorry, I have my mic on mute. So I am going to be working, actually, I was just working on getting more teamies. I feel like I really need to work on that. I only have 3 and only 1 out of the 3 actually even tries to do anything. I think my PRV is fine. I average about 2,000 a month, so I think that's okay, but definitely need to work on teamies. So it's hard. It's really hard. Out here, you have a town of 100 people, and then you have miles and miles and miles and miles of nobody. Then you have another little town of 100 people. Then it's again miles. I mean, it's crazy. So, let's see. Let's do Heather.
I was just looking over all the notes that I took. And I think one thing I wrote down that I wrote it down to go with team meetings, but I think it goes with everything. Show your team, be there for your team, that you are consistent. And like I talk about consistency all the time with my customers. And I think it's the same with your team. Be consistent, even though you aren't getting the responses, even though people aren't reacting, even though people are ghosting you, because they're still watching. And it's the same when you are posting about Scentsy to your customers. Like, your teamies are still watching. And if you keep showing up week after week, day after day, somebody is going to start commenting. Somebody is going to start doing what you're doing. And you will start building leaders that way. Megan.
Is it my turn? Me, Megan? Okay. So, oh gosh, y'all know I hate talking live in front of people. I almost hopped off. I was so close to hopping off. I've done it before, and I know y'all were waiting for it. But the biggest thing I'm gonna say is, when you get uncomfortable, you grow, and that's like something I've learned firsthand this week. Because when Chloe challenged us to that sponsoring blitz, I got a new teamie from it. So my hands are literally sweating. Sorry, my iPad's slipping because my hands are literally sweating. But I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing. And I'm gonna pick somebody else. Okay, let's go with Narina.
Okay, so let me see. One of the things that I really picked up from today is kind of like Whitney, having to just go back and really onboard myself. I had a call with Paige yesterday, and really just going back to the basics and everything that I missed from onboarding earlier, just really learned to onboard myself and set all the basics there. Because I feel like I was telling her yesterday, I feel like I failed the people that I've sponsored so far because I didn't have the tools to give them. And so now just ensuring that I pull those tools for myself so that anybody that I sponsor in the future, I can set up for success. I mean, Jackie's a rock star, but I mean, I have some people that like I really could have helped better had I been like onboarded in that way. And so really just onboarding myself and just reaching out and networking with people who can help me sort of get those like foundations in place. I'm going to go with, let's go with Jackie.
I knew it. Well, okay. There's a lot of things that were highlighted, but I think the one thing that really stuck out to me in this training is that we've got to master where we're at ourselves. So I'm like how you were saying, Whitney, where we can't be trying to train others, if we're not meeting our marks consistently. So I think getting a good basis of where I'm at and what I want. But I also really liked how you said that it's easy for us to kind of just look in the short term. And I think that's what I've been doing. I've just been trying to I'm what is it called, floating, right, staying above water and just trying to see like a right in front of me. But we have to plan for the future, and so that takes more risk. That takes getting out of our comfort zone. And so I think it's exciting to push myself to want to do that for my team. Like Narina was saying, it was kind of like we're thrown into this whirlwind and you're trying to learn so many things at once. But I think pausing and getting good at your systems and what you're doing first before trying to lead others is what it takes. And so it's a good reminder, but that's definitely something I need to work on. I am going to pick, let's see. I'm gonna pick Nikki Mayhew. I hope I said that correctly. I know, Nikki, you're like, darn it.
I just said to Katrina, I was like, I hate this part because like, this gives me anxiety. So something I took away from tonight was how we have evolved with the pandemic. I've only done this in the pandemic, so I've only known how to do virtual. And now that I work in healthcare and we're working towards an endemic. And I'm starting to ask more people for home parties and in person. And that's scary to me because like I go live on every party for myself, but like being in person and talking with other people and like doing something directly in sight with someone is a whole new ball game because the last 2 years, like next month is my 2-year since anniversary. I've only done online parties. So evolving with our business as a leader and as consultant is how I'm also going to start training my team because they also have only done this in a pandemic. So like that's even what I'm doing my Tip Tuesday on tomorrow, because we need to start evolving not only what we're doing as leaders and training our teams, but what we're doing as consultants for our own personal business. So that's what I took away. I am going to call on, if I say your name wrong, I'm so sorry, Jacqueline. Did I say your name correctly?
Me?
Oh yeah.
I love
You
it.
just spoke.
I just went, I picked you.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't see my screen went black with that. I'm sorry. Fine. Is Berkeley there? See your picture. Yeah, Shannon can go. Shannon can go. She said she'll go. Totally for it.
Perfect. Go, Shannon.
Hey y'all, I was a little
Hey,
late to the meet. I was a little late on the meeting. I've gone from the East Coast to the central part of the state, and I totally am an hour behind. So my bad. Totally, forgot what time zone I'm in. But what I took away is showing up for not just yourself, but your teamies, your director's page, and every little aspect that is important to you and your business. Because realistically, if it's not important to you, then you're not going to get far. This month has been a big roller coaster for me, but I'm still here. I'm still paid title. I'm still showing up. I've done I've had very hard decisions I have had to make, but showing up has been a priority. And I've had to be very real. Be real with your director if you aren't feeling 100% yourself. I've had to be very honest with Anya how I feel, because I had no water for 3 days in my new house that I moved into. But I still showed up and I did the most as I possibly could, even when Anya told me I should take a break, and I did it. I just kept going because you got to validate what is important to you. Validate what's important to you in your business. If it's not important, then you need to find what is important to you and then focus on that. But don't give up. write down everywhere that you need to. Get some sticky notes. I literally just went to the store the other day and got some Texas sticky notes because I'm back home in my home state, and it's been 6 years. So anything that's going to help me get there, if fun, cute little sticky notes is going to get you there, do it. If you need color sticky notes because you need color in your life, do it. So you can put it around your house, put it in your car, or whatever that's going to work for you, so you can show up for yourself and then get stuff done. If not everything gets done, do it the next day. Do it the next day, because we have, every day is a day that you can focus on what you need to do. But focus what is important to you. And if it's not important, then find what's important.
All right, let's do one more, Shannon, if you want to pick somebody.
Who is still on?
Just feel free to just raise your hand.
I'm going to go with Mindy.
I kind of knew it. I could sense it. Okay, so let's talk about sharing on your director's page and sharing on YouTube. That's about paying it forward, because I can't tell you how many people I've watched videos of, and I've, watched trainings of and YouTubes of, like Wendy posting in her YouTube has literally, my team has nothing to do with hers. No matter what my team does not benefit her in any single way possible. It never, ever, ever will, but she's still sharing with me. I had a teamie on my page a few days ago comment on a big revelation they had from watching something Anya posted. Nothing my team does will ever benefit Anya, ever, but it benefits, this girl, who then even her sharing on my page and reaching down to the majority of the people on my page has nothing to do with her, and it won't benefit her in any way. Only the 3 or 4 people underneath her it'll benefit. Well, it's the same thing. When I post on Katrina's page, that's me giving back to the people before me that have given to me. That it won't help me. Me posting has nothing to do with Nikki's team. It has nothing to do with Jess's team. It won't benefit them at all. But so many people before me have done that for me that it's pay it forward. And that's what it's about. You're paying it forward. It's not a selfish thing. Well, it's not going to help my team, so I'm not going to do it. No, because guess what? Anya's video was a game changer for my teamie, and she did it, and she doesn't care. And, life went on, and that's paying it forward to the people before Anya that have nothing to do with her team, have reached down into her and helped her, whether they know it or not. It's not about, oh, it's only good for my team. I'm only going to share it on my page because it's only good on my team. And I'm going to share it on Katrina's page because I have to. No, I don't have to, but I want to, because of the times when I've watched Anya's trainings or Wendy's trainings or Chastity's trainings, and they have nothing to do with me, and they don't, well, Anya knows who I am, but the other two might not know, So that's what it's about. That it's giving back to the ones who gave to you, whether they know it or not. And eventually somebody will see your video and have a life-changing moment and share it with their team, and so on and so on and so on. Does that make sense?
100.
And I pick nobody because I was the last one. Woohoo! You can all say, whew, you made it.
Right?
You survived.
No, that's really good. So yeah, just moving forward, I want y'all to start doing those leadership practices that we talked about. I will put our outline on Legacy Leaders just to make sure that y'all can follow that. And know that we love y'all. We want to keep like-minded people in our company. You are the company you keep. You are the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And that's what Legacy Leaders is, a strong group of leaders, like-minded women and men who want to move forward in their business and change their script, to change their future, to change their children's future. And that's what we're here for. That's what that page is here for. That's what we will continue to show up for. And we love y'all. We hope you have a good night and stay healthy, guys. Bye, guys. How do I stop recording? Okay.